Okay, so now that I got that all sorted, let's talk about the next game that... Hoo boy, this game. During a Nintendo Power that we got, at least I think it was Nintendo Power, it might have been EGM, since Nintendo Power at the time was not very good, unfortunately. Yeah, it wasn't exactly doing so hot, especially when other magazines were kind of doing the same thing they were doing, only doing a much better job of advertising stuff. But I did find out in one of the magazines that Dragon Warrior 7 was coming out. And it was a new Dragon Quest, so of course I was excited for it. They were very sparse in the details, though. Like, they weren't giving details about what to expect. It was just kind of a new game coming out. And I'll give it this. The hype was real. Me and my friend couldn't wait to play it. And we did eventually get it. And, well... when we first started putting it in, and played through it, early on we didn't really know what to expect from this, because not much was really happening. I mean, I liked what I saw, to be sure, but... with a lot of the other Dragon Quest games, I could kind of see what I was in for by playing the opening, and then seeing where it led to. This game, not so much. The beginning left me kind of confused at just what this game was supposed to be about. It didn't help that the beginning segment of the game took us forever to figure out what we were supposed to do. Because more than any other game, this game just does not want to give you hints about virtually anything. But we stuck through it, and what ended up happening was that we finally figured it out, and we got to this temple-like area, and it was pretty interesting to go through, seeing how all the different mechanics were like. And while I didn't mention the graphics, they look beautiful on the PS1. Dear Lord. For Dragon Quest, anyway. The effects were probably would be seen as kind of archaic for, like, other game series that had been out, but for Dragon Quest it looked great, and I was really into it. And then, once you got to the end of the temple, and we get sucked into this portal from this altar, I was like, oh man. Not really sure what this is supposed to mean. And then we saw... oh, jeez. Please tell me you're not gonna kill me. Not when I finally got here. Okay. I'm playing it safe. Okay, good. But, I almost lost my train of thought there for a second, but, when we get to this new region, and we see monsters for the first time, something which I was actually worried wasn't in the game at first, since it took us so long to get to this point. What? Oh, okay. But... I got to this point, and let me just say, early on, this game reminded me a lot of Dragon Quest V. like when you finally get to this new area, because the dramatic moments were well written. Oh my goodness. Like, every character in this game that you meet is complex in one way or another. At least one character from every world you visit in this game is complex in how they're written. And I was excited. At the beginning of the game, it was a bit slow, but it made up for it, man. I wanted to know more about this game and the places we visit. And I think I speak for everyone when I say that Kiefer's final scene is one of the most heartbreaking in the entire game. And that's saying a lot. Oh, jeez. Oh, shit. Oh, thank God, that doesn't stack. Okay, I'm not taking any chances here. I did stop spell, damn it. But... Oh, that last scene with Kiefer, it was so sad. I mean, he was like a bro to us, man, and... He has this new life he wants to lead, and... We have our adventure we have to go on. And it was just heartbreaking to see it, but it was handled so maturely, too. Like, they didn't try to make it seem any less from what it was. But... And then later on, we rescue the denizens of Dharma Temple, and we get the class system back from 6. Only it's better. It's so much more improved now, and it was pretty good to begin with in 6, but here it's even better, and it does have the same problem that 6 had, where you have to fight monsters that were equivalent to your strength. But it didn't seem as bad in this game, though. I'll say that much. It wasn't as bad. And I did like that a lot. And I also will say this, that it seemed like this is the first Dragon Quest that honestly tried to make the game feel more casual, I think is the word for it. Because Dragon Quest was never really known for being very approachable when it came to how hard the games tended to be from other RPG series. And a lot of fans were showing notice from this. And I'd be remiss if I didn't see why. I mean, I love the series, don't get me wrong, but it can be challenging compared to other RPG series. But this game made it a little bit easier. Fighting monsters didn't seem as hard. Bosses were tough, but none of them were really required you to grind all that much. Especially once classes were brought into the mix. Because once you had a job you're comfortable with, you could beat the game with that job. And you didn't really have to switch around too much, unless you were going for like those ultimate jobs you could unlock. Which was pretty great, all on their own. But you didn't need them. Like, this game felt a bit easier. It didn't require that kind of effort. Very few bosses really made you struggle a bit. And here's Stop Spell that I love so much for this game. Okay, I've got Radiant. I've got some herbs. And I've got some keys. Let's try this place again. Now that I can see decently. Yeah, this is a cave that I honestly feel that Radiant was intended. I just wanted to see if I could survive without it. Turns out I couldn't. Oh, hey. Torch. Found an herb. Well, thanks, I guess. But, Dragon Quest VII also has one of the more interesting final scenarios in the game. Because there's a big storyline sequence about God and about them trying to resurrect him because of this big battle he had with basically the Satan of the game. A demon king called Urgo di Mur, which was kind of a big deal. And both apparently destroyed each other, but the darkness was still around somehow. And I guess Urgo di Mur managed to survive somehow. Oh, at least that's how they try to explain it. And here's the gist of it. This tribe of people succeed in resurrecting God himself from the battle against Urgo di Mur, and things are wonderful again. Oh shit, I don't have much of the way of herbs left. Oh boy, this might be kind of close. I wonder if I should leave and get some more. Well, let's see what happens. And there's this palace that gets crafted. And everything is all well and good. And he's preaching peace, not only from people, but of monsters. And he actually berates people that they're monstrous for going after these monsters. And it's an interesting lesson to be sure. I mean, let's understand the monster's point of view, that, you know, you're going after them trying to kill them. And we have an Orb of Darkness from an earlier chapter, and he demands them to hand it over so that he can purify it. And then, the minute you leave, things go to shit almost immediately. Now, when I first saw this, I thought that the orb that he took was actually corrupting him. Like, of course that wouldn't happen under any normal circumstance, but that's what I thought was going to happen. And that the darkness was controlling him now, and you actually had to find a way to stop him. It was a very interesting plot twist, too, considering that. It was a very interesting plot twist, too, considering that the worlds were sealed away, and none of your spells worked. It was quite foreboding, and you couldn't teleport to other regions. You could communicate with people from other regions, but you had no way of actually interfering, so... Well, guess we're kind of screwed then. But not really, because there was a way around it. Like, they managed to get a hold of 4 elemental entities that could help. And when you brought them together, they could unfold the truth that the god we thought we resurrected was Urgo di Mur the entire time. He apparently had set up a trap so that they would use their powers to bring him back in case he was ever defeated. And, well, that sucks. So, we actually had to go over there and to defeat him yet again. And it certainly made for quite the epic fight. What I find interesting is he actually says something when you defeat him, like saying, "It cannot be, you're his!" And then he dies before you can finish the sentence, and I think a lot of people imply this to be that the hero is apparent. It might have been like God resurrected or like reincarnated as a human or something. That's people's theory. Considering that God himself does appear as an optional boss that you can choose to fight, I don't think that that's the case. Okay, I'm not seeing anything here. Like, I'm not seeing any chest or anything in here. So, that's fascinating. The only thing I can think to check is where that locked door is. Really weird. But, trying to figure out where I found that last time. It was in one of the stairs, I just forget which. Yeah, I love the design for this game, but some areas can just annoy me after a while. Was it this one? Yes, okay. No. But, yeah, I like Dragon Quest. If Dragon Quest V isn't my favorite game, Dragon Quest VII sure is, because oh, the game is so good. Seriously, I'd recommend this game to just about anyone. I really would. You know, I really should leave because I have a lot of gold that I don't want to lose. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Screw it. Oh, they're gonna spam the hell out of these, aren't they? Oh man, I'm nervous. Yeah, best to play it safe. Now, the next game that I ended up playing was Dragon Quest VIII, actually. I did go back various times to try to beat Dragon Quest IV and NES. But I just couldn't get into it. Like, I didn't like the fact that you had so many mini chapters showing off to different characters. I just wanted to hurry up and get the main game going. And certain mini campaigns just felt like they dragged on. For example, I liked Haloon's... You know what? Never mind. I'm just gonna wait to talk about that when I actually get into Dragon Quest IV for DS coming up, but Dragon Quest VIII came first, though. You know what? I really need to get this. I really should. That'll help my survival ratings a bit. Even though, I will say that I think that defense means a lot less in this game than attack power does. Because that's how the original Dragon Quest was, too. And I don't need the dragon scale anymore, so... And I'm gonna sell torches, since I don't really need them anymore. I will be buying some herbs, though. There we go. I'm gonna make one last trek into that cave. How long have I been recording? I'll try a few more minutes. That's the only real downside to using OBS to record, is the fact that I don't have a timer that it shows. I have to make my own. But that's fine, I guess. I mean, it's not too much extra effort. Dragon Quest VIII. I first played this on a demo. And I forget how I got a hold of that demo. But I will say this, the demo impressed the hell out of me. Because it was in 3D, like full 3D, and it looked pretty great. The only real problem I had is that I felt like when the game was about to get really good, the demo stops you, and I wasn't a fan of that, but still. That's just the way demos tend to be, and when I actually owned it, like my grandma played it first before I did, and I watched her play it, and it's wow. like this game is. It's not my pick for favorite Dragon Quest due to a couple of reasons, but it is a very great game though. And for being the first 3D Dragon Quest, it was amazingly successful. All the characters I really liked. Like, we have the two you start off with, the traditional hero and Yangus. It actually... these... damn it. These two reminded me a lot of Hassan and the hero from Dragon Quest VI, actually. And that's pretty much who they are. Yangus is a really strong, tough dude, and the hero is a balanced character. What's unique about this game is how you can develop them, though. You have these skill points that you will get after a few levels. Why'd I use the heal spell? And I found it really interesting how there were different builds that you could make your character. It wasn't just the standard class system that we were accustomed to. It made the characters feel a bit more unique in that regard, because they weren't they weren't blank slates, so you could make into anyone. Like in 7, you actually had a bit more diversity here. And I tend to prefer games that are like that, where characters feel more unique, and they actually feel different from each other. However, I will say that some of these skill sets weren't really all that impressive. And that was a bit disappointing, because, like, you had 2 other characters that you could recruit for a grand total of 4. Jessica, which was a mage type, that was also known for another reason that I'm not going to mention here. And then you had Angelo, a character that I can only just describe as a perverted priest. He's basically your healer in the group, if you weren't going to use your hero for it. And he pretty much excels at it. He also gets some holy magic that can attack foes, depending on where you go with him. Okay, I give up on this cave. I'll come back later if I have to. But I got other stuff I'd rather be doing, and not wasting time in there. This game is interesting, but at the same time, I find it really formulaic, because you're basically following this evil jester. He's kind of like Kefka or the Joker in the way he's designed. Like, he's this evil jester type character who gets this magic scepter, and it makes him really overpowered and strong. And we're chasing him down because he's cursed both the princess and your king. The king becomes a monster and the princess becomes a horse, and you have to save them from their fate. As well as the world, in case he ever gets out of control. So... that ends up becoming a problem. Because every time we meet him, he tends to always overpower us in some way. And there just seems to be no way we can stop him. Now, much later on, we do stop him somehow, and it turns out that this is yet another game that actually has dual villains. You see, Dual Magus, which is the evil jester that we've been chasing down, is really just a slave to the being that's inside the scepter. An evil demon called Rapthorn has actually been sealed inside the scepter and will control anyone that touches it. Which, unfortunately, is a problem because we actually didn't realize that, and we took the scepter with us. And one of our allies, Jessica, was the one that picked up the scepter, and now she was under his dark control. Also, he has a tendency to make whoever he controls look evil and sinister as all hell. Because starting with Jessica, all the people that he controls throughout the game are evil, sinister, and... just wow, dude. I guess you really want to make your presence known, and not, you know, hide your identity so that people don't figure it out. Anyways. Not the smartest villain in the world, but he does get his point across. As he's trying to kill the 7 important individuals that are descendants of the one that sealed him away. I guess spilling their blood or something will free him. I don't really understand why he has to kill him, but basically, he actually keeps going after them, and we fail to stop him. So Rapthorn does eventually get freed. But there are these 7 orbs, which, if you play Dragon Quest III, it's the same process. You have to find where these 7 orbs are at. It is easier, though, since all the locations for the orbs are connected to the 7 individuals that died, so you can find them pretty quick. And you use their power to weaken Rapthorn so you can stop him. Now, that's the general story of the game, but there is more to it than that. You meet a lot of different people, you help them out. You have a rival antagonist that you end up dealing with at some point, and the game overall is pretty solid, but like I said, it's very formulaic. It's not like other Dragon Quest games where they try to have their own approach to how you play it and how you experience it. This game does have some emotional moments, but I didn't feel as connected to the characters in this game as I did to some of the other games. And that's really depressing for me, because I really wanted to. I mean, there were some NPCs in this game that had some really good character moments with you, but there's just something about the game that felt empty, though. And that did depress me, because I didn't know how to feel about that. And I think the biggest problem is that I feel like this is the first Dragon Quest where they wanted it to actually make money. They wanted to make sure it wanted to make money, so they wanted to actually not experiment with it too much, and wanted to go with what they knew worked. Which I think actually led to a far more disappointing conclusion than what we were used to getting. But that doesn't make it bad. It just makes it not stand out as much as the others. I will say this, that I did like a lot of the Easter eggs from previous Dragon Quest games. We actually see Ramia, from a giant flying bird from Dragon Quest III, actually make a comeback in this as the god bird Imperia, and she looks gorgeous. It was really nice to see her again. We actually got to see her talk, too, with voice acting, no less. And they picked a really good voice for her, too. I really like that. They even reference the fact that she is the same Ramia from 3, because she can apparently travel between dimensions. And she says that Imperia was a name that the humans gave her, and that's not her real name. Her real name is Ramia, or Ramia, I think is how you pronounce it. And I was like, yes! You referenced it! Awesome! So that was pretty great. However, one thing that kind of bugged me is the fact that I didn't feel like the game had a lot of depth with the different characters. What you see is pretty much what you get. Like, you have the main hero, who's just kind of friendly and is the leader. You have Yangus, who... He's Yangus. That's all I can really explain him. Like, you can't just explain Yangus, because if you try, then you're gonna mess it up. Because Yangus, he just acts the way he is. I'll say this, he's probably the most entertaining of the cast. You have Jessica, who's basically a well-meaning young woman who wants to take vengeance for her brother who got killed. And I think that's basically all the depth she gets, although she is very likable, and she does make wisecracks every now and then when she has to. And I do agree with the fan base. She's a better tomboy character than Maribel ever was. From 7. I don't hate Maribel. I mean, she's still likable in her own way. But I think they got it right with Jessica. Because Jessica is a bit tomboyish, but she doesn't lord it over you like Maribel does. And I think that's the big thing here. Is that she doesn't lord it over you, she just acts the way she acts, and it works for her. Angelo... he's a bit more complex, because you do find out about his backstory. You find out that he had quite a troubled past, because there's this guy called Marcello, who becomes somewhat of a rival later. He does not like Angelo. He hates Angelo. He despises everything Angelo. And you find out why in the backstory, and while it's definitely not justified, you do see that he has suffered a lot in his life. So was Marcello, but I think he takes it way too... He puts all the blame for it on Angelo, and it's unjustified. And because of this, I think Angelo has grown up a bit of a damaged person. And his perverted nature, I think, is a result of him just trying to react to this world that hasn't been kind to him. And I've never... The game doesn't really go into this, but I believe that there's a part of Angelo that he tries to keep hidden. Like, I don't think this pervert persona of his is the real him, but I think this is rather how he's trying to appropriate his pain. Oh. I guess you can get more than 6 keys, huh? Okay, did I download a previous, like, version that wasn't fixed? Because... I remember that was patched out before. At least that's what I remember. But... going back to Angelo, though, I do kind of feel like there's more to him that the game brought up. And I would love for them to explore that part of him a bit more, but I don't think we'll ever get that. But that's what I choose to believe. Dragon Quest VIII is a very fun game, though. I would give it a try. You certainly wouldn't be disappointed. Okay, at this point, we started to get remakes of the previous games. Starting with 4. Because we had already gotten remakes of 1, 2, and 3 in the past, they decided to start with 4 on the DS. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to try this out. From what I've seen, the games look a lot more improved. And then I played it. Oh my god, what happened? Like, these games, the translation, like, what happened? Like, no. Just, no. Like, these games. They're awful. Like, what were you thinking? Okay, to get into more specifics here, I knew you were going to do that, but it failed, so I looked off there. Like, what were you thinking? Okay. What they started doing is adding, like, a lot of bad jokes to the game, starting with the DS remakes. And if the bad jokes weren't bad enough, they also had certain types of people speak in certain dialects. For virtually no reason, aside from they thought it was cool. Ooh, level up. They thought it was cool, and it wasn't. The way they read out the dialects were painful to listen to. Through reading it, I mean. Like, I'd give you some examples off the top of my head, but I honestly don't remember any specifics. I just remember it being obnoxious. Despite that, I did play through the game, and the gameplay was a lot better, and the AI commands in 4 were so much more improved than what we had in the original. AI has been a thing since the 4th game that you could pick for your party members, but in the original 4, though, it was badly handled. It was put to where all your allies were automatically on AI. You couldn't control them manually. and the AI was less than intelligent. So the DS version definitely fixed that problem. You could pick manual commands, and the AI was considerably smarter if you wanted to use it. But man, the translation made it so miserable. I did play through it, and I felt like I didn't like the game. Not only because of the localization, but I just didn't find the game all that memorable. Huh. I have two ways I can go here. Two ways I can go. Just a moment. Someone is Skyping me. Okay, I'll get to her in a second. But, yeah. Oh, yes. Goldman. You are my friend. Not really, but you give me gold. Gold! Gold! Yeah, okay. But yeah, let's see how much I get. Nice! Definitely gonna want to train here. Okay. Ow, 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 ow. Damn it. Panthers? You guys are like the wyverns, aren't you? Pretty much. You guys give a lot, though, so I'm not gonna complain. At this point, I have to save up the magic armor, so those goldmen will certainly help there. But yeah, Dragon Quest IV, I didn't really like. Sacred Stones? When did this become Fire Emblem? Okay, I kid, but the Sacred Stones are actually the 3 stones we need to collect. It's funny how he mentions that you need these to defeat the Divine Scepter, yet really all they're used for is to unlock the way to the final area. Okay. But, Dragon Quest IV I initially didn't like at all, because the only one I beat was the one on the DS, and I think the biggest reason that the game is as fondly remembered as it is the fact that the characters and dialogue were very well written, especially for an NES Dragon Quest game. However, that did not translate well to the translation for the DS version, and if you weren't a fan of the game already, you probably weren't going to think very highly of it. So, that's a bit of a problem, just saying. However, I did go back. Actually, I was streaming the series for What by Friends, and I decided to try out the NES one. I cheated heavily on it, but I did play through it. And I actually liked it. No, really. I really cared about the characters. I cared about the way they interacted with everyone. And the villain in this game, so much better written in the NES version. Seriously. Like the scene with his beloved getting messed up, like she was, for personal profit, and him seeing her die from it. and him being corrupted from it, I felt for the guy. Like, I actually felt like the bad guy in this situation, because, like, yeah, I was totally feeling for him. Because, like, he was an extremist in his views, but I still felt for him. Like, he saw someone he loved get abused and killed for their own profit, and just, wow, it was bad. And I do respect Dragon Quest IV because of it. I think it's overrated, to be sure, but I do have an appreciation for it now. This will probably be where I stop the recording. And we'll see what happens next time when I go into Dragon Quest V and VI Remake. And my feelings about it.